Welcome back to the North American Invitational Sevens here on Field 1. I am Liz Entwistle, and next to me is my colleague,
Matt Wonderly, and I'm happy to be back here with you. We got a great matchup today.
We do. We have the Utah Lions in white and the Upright Rugby Rogues of Canada also in white.
It'll be a fun one calling this game for finding the numbers.
I'm impressed that the referee's not in white. At least he's got the fortitude to wear an orange jersey there. So we see an early penalty here to the Utah Lions coming off the hands of, say one of their players. I remember him from training. I know he's a wrestler because we were chatting about that.
Without the numbers, it's really hard for us to tell and determine who they are.
But these are two quality teams. These are teams that have played each other, know each other quite well.
We'll see. Great speed.
We hear the players on the side calling to just dive. This is where, if you are going that, your last-ditch effort is to make that little ankle tap. When we're looking to make tackles in sevens, you're looking to match the speed. So sometimes you see some players that will over-pursue when they're in defense. It was a very fast player from this Upright team.
Absolutely.
A great breakaway there. But, potentially, you may as well dive anyway because you might get the ankles, you might tap and trip him up, or you at least look like you made the effort.
Go down swinging.
So it is Upright Rugby out of Canada that scores first. This is a mostly Ontario-based team. This is a well-established program when it comes to Canada Rugby. They actually are in a partnership with Rugby Canada with the camps that they run. Their director is Tyler Leggett, and he is just a fantastic advocate for the sport. He is actually a talent identification officer for Rugby Canada, and this is a team that we have seen play in many tournaments at their junior and senior level. I'm most familiar with their senior team. We have seen Upright and Upright players in tournaments like Rugby Town Sevens with the Stars Rugby Sevens program that I run. We played in the same pool last year in Rugby Town. We're in the same pool again this year. Our developmental team played against them in Las Vegas last year in the men's club division. We also saw many of their players playing in Vancouver Sevens in the festival tournament they had. Some notable alumni from this Upright team, including Carded. So these are their contracted players for Sevens that have come from Upright. John West, Riley DiNardo, Trent Cooper, and Kyle Legaska. They've also had Caleb Jordan play with them at times. Riley DiNardo is a captain for the Maple Leafs team and got his card, so he's been training out in Victoria this summer.
We'll see how this ends up.
So no surprise that they were able to score an early try, but it looks like it's Utah that's going to answer in the corner.
Did the ball behind, or was that a knock-on? I couldn't tell.
Well, they're playing on, so ball behind, and it looks like, ooh, wow.
Keegan Barnes with the extraordinary try.
Square dancing then, yeah. So Keegan Barnes, we mentioned him a little bit earlier in our broadcast, one of the more notable players here when it comes to this Utah Lions side. So it's Keegan with the try. He is actually a year removed from high school, but still fell within the eligibility for this tournament.
Right.
Player that is signed on to go to Central Washington University, a storied program that's developed quite a few of our Sevens Eagles as well, notable players like Aladdin Shermer and Seth Halliman. I know that Tanner Barnes, any relation?
No, I don't think so.
Because Tanner Barnes out there, I know from playing Chicago Lions Sevens.
I'm gonna fact check that though.
All right, we'll see. But some magnificent athletes out there. Zach Siemens, another Chicago Lions player I know playing at Central. They actually just announced a new coach this week. Todd Thornley had been their graduate assistant player that had coached at Dartmouth under Gavin Hickey and Alex Magleby for a while. Yeah. Was a graduate assistant under their coach Tony Pacheco, who had coached the men's college All-Americans. So a program well known for its sevens when it comes to the men's side. Good at 15s as well. Fell in the Varsity Cup semifinal, right?
They do. They make it far every year, and it usually ends up to being against either Utah or BYU in the semis, and it gets down to a really good battle.
Yeah, and traditionally, BYU and Cal has been at least the last 3 years of that Varsity Cup final when it comes to the men's
I think it's
college.
been every year. Every year since its inception, I believe. But Colton Swap with the missed kick, and that could be really crucial. It was close enough to the post. It keeps the scores level of 5.
You can tell Colton out there on the field with his American flag scrum cap. He's also got his knee taped up a bit, so a little bit of support with his red electrical tape. The son of Coach Eric Swap. So Eric, for his final, for Colton's final year, I should say, is coaching this top team. They've got a big joint coaching. But that is some fantastic running as well. It is the number 12 from Upright, barely misses that tackle. So there's Utah on the board with 2 tries.
Colton Swap, I mean, the hot potato pass, taking a hit as he's dishing that ball, led to a try. Fantastic play. Fantastic hands.
Yeah, we'll see. He's down for a minute here. Hopefully no serious injury. But they certainly have the medical staff here to take care of it if something is wrong. Plenty of bumps and bruises in the sport of rugby, but hopefully not much with the sevens tournament, because the high level of play, we don't really see as many injuries when we're looking at some other variances with experience and skill levels. Here we have similar experience, similar skill. These players selected to come play in an elite level invitational tournament, playing against the best all North America has to offer. So right now it is USA winning this border battle up 10-5 over Upright. And we're waiting on the kick.
And the kick close, pushed it wide. The score remains 10-5. Utah over Upright. We knew this would be a great match. So far, it's living up to that potential, right?
It absolutely is. We knew this was going to be hardly fought. We know these teams have met up against each other before. You know, this Upright team, again, you know, running U16 boys, U18 boys, U18 girls, senior men. They've been competing for 4 years, running camps since 2007. They had one player on their roster, Avery Oitman, who played on the U18 CRC. So in Canada, the CRC does not stand for the same thing in the USA. When they have CRC, it's their Canadian Rugby and Championship, and they run multiple provincial teams. They're men's seniors. They've got 4 teams. It was Ontario that actually won it all. The Wolfpack team that's based in Alberta comes in second in place, and then the other teams being from BC, and then the Rock, which takes players from like Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and some of the other provinces out to the east. Some of the Rugby Quebec players playing out there. There's more provinces represented when it gets to like the U18, U19 level. So as this Upright team continues to grow and age as a program, they will have more players making their way on the senior team. Great work here by the Utah Lions keeping the ball alive. Great tackles by Upright. And it is a line out indicated by the touch judge, but our referee says no. There's an intentional knock on, and there is a penalty.
Barn swap duo, dynamic duo here, almost making it happen. Stepped out of bounds too. Oh, actually, no, it's Utah's ball.
It's Utah's ball on the intentional knock on. Yep.
The intentional knock on.
So I think we need.
I think you and I are watching different games, right? I got ADD. I'm looking at the line out, and you're looking at the penalty.
Yeah, well, the white on white, it's a little bit tricky, so. If any sponsors out there, Canterbury sponsoring the tournament, wants to get these teams an alternate jersey to wear as the day goes on, I'm sure they'd welcome them. I think we need to get Keegan Barnes here to the Rocky Mountains hair braider. Those Rocky Mountain Rebels girls had fantastic braids going on, a lot of style with the hair.
They so did, didn't they? They really did.
It was interesting. I was actually at the women's repechage tournament in Dublin deciding who was going to be that last team to go to the Olympics, and there was one player, I believe she was with Zimbabwe, and she had red and yellow and green throughout her hair, wow, braided awesome. In. And
but it was well done, and it looked a lot better than some of these boys out here.
Yeah, she was like a tournament favorite. You know, great crowds out there in Dublin watching. Of course, the home team Ireland playing. They took third, so they retained their spot in the World Series. Didn't make it to the Olympics, but fans from all over the world. And I'll tell you, I saw Madagascar play rugby. I saw Zimbabwe. I saw Kazakhstan and Cook Islands.
So great.
And it was just awesome seeing these teams play. Cook Islands impressed me with their passing skills. You know, kind of like how Utah had amazing passing there from Colton Swap earlier that set up the try that put them ahead.
Right. Yeah, and seeing the upset of Spain over Samoa is also really impressive.
Oh, the men's in Monaco the weekend before, yep. So we see an untimely knock from Utah, pretty uncharacteristic. That'll end the half here. So we are going in.
A close one, another barn burner, 10-5. Utah's up over Upright.
Yes.
Going into the second half.
We'll see what these coaches do during halftime. Really experienced coaches here on both the sides. So we've got Eric Swap again leading this Utah Lions team. Tyler Leggett, the director of rugby with the Upright rugby team. He's guiding the men. They have Mark Smearden here as well. He's been guiding the women. I expect to see a strong second half, and it might be one of these games where whoever scores first is going to end up winning the game. It can go either way. We look forward to seeing the action ahead. We just want to say thank you to our sponsors, United World Games, where our Utah Lions teams went to go play over in Europe. Advis Rugby, of course, doing magnificent work with their camps, sponsoring this tournament and entering their teams basically anywhere there's rugby in America, and Seven Peaks. We'll give it just a break here at the half and be back to you in just a moment. Kicking off the second half of action, we have the Utah Lions in white and the Upright Rugby Rogues from Canada in white. That was Upright Rugby kicking to Utah. So this is the Utah Lions attacking with ball in hand. We'll be able to tell some of their players because they do have the blue shorts with Utah. Most of Upright wearing the white shorts. Upright is borrowing a couple of players. They were a little bit short after playing in Magnificent Sevens last weekend where they did win the tournament. So looking for what differentiates we can. Utah Lions in the blue socks, Upright in red. And that's one of the things I always tell players, they must wear the socks, and this is why.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just set going into halftime here, it was Utah Lions with a 10-5 lead. Thought whoever scores first here in the second half will probably end up winning the game. Of course, I could be wrong, but a lot of momentum here to open up the second half strongly for the Utah Lions. Converting the kick as well, that's going to put them up 17-5. Still about 6 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the second half of action.
It was a quick one.
A good quick try, but that's where this aerial game and this kickoff component comes in. I don't think it's ever been focused on as much as it has in the last 2 years, realizing that this is another area of rugby where you can create possession opportunities.
Right, you grow up learning and being trained in rugby that it's a three-dimensional pitch, you know, including the air and going over, not just around and through.
So it's like an X, Y, and Z plane when it comes to math.
It's a multiple plane field.
So if we get the differentials of all this action.
Now we're getting back into our math talk and our science talk.
I was a math major. What can I say?
Is it very STEM
You can talk to me all kinds
this
of...
game is very STEM focused? Or would you say it's very scientific or very art focused?
I think the game of sevens is art focused. I think that the beauty of it comes from the improvisation and having teammates that you can trust. You look at the skills and the way that teams can intuitively play together, like a Fiji, and like Spain women did at that Dublin tournament too. You had maybe a more stereotypical, upright and rigid team from Russia come into that final, and it was Spain with their beautiful game, to borrow from the game of soccer. But teams that can kick and that can run plays and can do these loops and these switches and play off of each other and find the space, just like Upright Rugby found the space here, finding the hole in action. Back and forth, this may well be an intense second half battle.
It puts it to 17-10. We're waiting to kick here. Most likely going to slot this over. It's pretty close to the posts.
This is a pretty key kick. And I was going to say, too, like you want to talk about some other stereotypes with rugby, having, coached and played and brought teams on a lot of tours around the world and seeing these teams, come to tournaments like this and like Rugby Town in Las Vegas, noticing most of the time these Canadian sides come in with phenomenal catch-pass skills.
You're right. They're very, very fundamentally focused, and that's really why they succeed so well. And that kick did go over, bringing the score to 12-17. It's a close one. We knew it would be. It's a really fun dogfight out there.
It is. It is. This is a fantastic match. This is one of the tournament matchups I was looking forward to most. We saw earlier, though, these two Atlantis teams. I'm looking forward to them playing each other.
Oh, yeah.
That might be why they've got the one team that's primarily black and the one that is teal. But when you get a team where the teams are very familiar, like this game in front of us with Upright in Utah, it's fun to watch because they start to know players' tendencies and things, and you get a little bit of a rivalry on the field and then camaraderie off of it.
Absolutely. And they know each other well from playing in other tournaments. And it's fun to see these opponents play each other so often because they start to know each other's weaknesses, and then it just increases the level of play.
But then you see them all hanging out at the hotel for breakfast and playing in the pool and getting some big games of water rugby.
With their opponents, it's great. Yeah, keep your friends close, your enemies closer.
Well, I think everyone in it to grow the game too. So I mean, you look at these organizations, some very similar on the field.
You're much more optimistic than I am.
Always an optimist. Glass is always more than half full. But I was going to say that, you look at what Upright has done with their camps and their development, and what Utah's doing here,
just tied it up.
Growing the game, and yes, a fantastic try here.
Interception mistake. Look at that.
And and I think that this is actually a couple of the guest players that they have. So they've got a player from California, they've got a couple from the Utah side. So we see these jerseys with a little bit of green on them. A couple guest players here with Upright, making a little bit of an impact here. So the game is tied. We're at 17 all with the missed kick. And just as a reminder that here in pool play, ties will stand as ties. It is only in the knockout rounds that they would play extra time. So just like on the World Series.
Right.
With this bracket we've got a pool of 3 and we've got 2 pools of 4. 8 teams advance to the traditional Cups quarterfinal format tomorrow. The other 3 will just play each other off for the Bulls, so they will still guarantee 2 games coming out of the pool as well. So it's great that these teams get to see so much action, and they are guaranteed playing a lot of different teams. We could see some rematches in the finals, pending how seeding works out. All of the seeding, the brackets, and the schedules are online at nai7s.com. You can also find more info and some other commentators and rugby heads takes. Alex Goff is going to be chiming in with his updates and his analysis on Golf Rugby Report, and of course Jackie Finland with the breakdown. Really an expert when it comes to the girls' games. She had previews on all the teams. She got more information than I did out of these teams too. So well done to her. We saw all of Goff's reports, and then this is American Rugby. Curtis Reed is always just keeping tabs on everything. So if you miss something from their sites, he usually has a reblog and you know, a couple paragraphs that he might write here and there, but linking out everywhere.
Chase. Colton Swap, chip. Oh, wow.
Oh, the little scoop from the ground.
Scoop from the ground. That was fantastic. That was a great play.
That was
a
world-class play there.
He's got some moves. You know, he's had moves ever since I've been coaching him since he was a little kid. You know, ever since he was about 5 or 6, I've known him and watching him play, and he's always been that shifty, magic type player. You know, the John Stocktons you were talking about, and the Jason Williams behind their backs, and the scoop on the ground, and that's fantastic. Yep,
all this great ball handling, and it really is an impressive skill. There is a player from Canada, and actually, I've been told the Utah Lions actually have a bet on this. If you go back to one of the earlier World Rugby tournaments, one of the players from Canada, and I have to remember the name, if I do or someone else tweeted at me, he took a kickoff from the air single-handedly. He had a Calvin Johnson NFL-style grab, but his own team kicking off, so he's coming from behind, caught it, one hand, boom, in for the try. And if any of these Utah Lions do it, their coaches will pay them $100. But if they do it and knock on, it's $50 to the coaches.
We made a mistake. I guess there was a knock on, and that puts the score back level at 17-all. That try was not counted.
I must have missed the TMO sign from our referees here, but that's why we have these awesome referee panels. So we have quality refs in the middle, and then every single referee is also assistant refereeing on the side. So we don't just have touch judges with flags if the ball goes out. They can, you know, weigh in on some of these plays. So they're looking for offsides. They're looking for a forward pass. They're looking on the angle there. So he, you know, might have had a better advantage to be on the knock-on. But it looks like it may not matter. Let's see if Utah can get it in the corner. And he takes the corner, and he's even getting a little bit of a better angle here in the middle. So it was a valiant effort by Upright, trying to make that tackle and save the try, but it is Utah now under the post with an even better kick, so now it is indeed 17-22 pending this conversion. So we talk a lot about these referees that are out here too. There's fantastic opportunities for referees worldwide when it comes to, you know, learning the game of rugby and being able to give back to the sport, but also being able to you know, earn a little bit of extra money for these younger high school and college students. You know, if you get referee certified, you're going to become a better athlete, knowing the laws of the game. And there's opportunities for exchanges. So there are some referees from the U.S. that are with Stellenbosch in South Africa right now. We've seen some referees go on exchanges to New Zealand and play there. And here, as the game ends, we've got new referees coming on the field. And we'll segue, we've got a final here of 24-17 with the Utah Lions defeating Upright Rugby.